it was about 9 years ago, I believe now. And Connor, thank you for reminding us of this because although we were unable to find the sound clip, which really that kind of takes you into like how the world has changed even in the last decade, where there was we were doing ATN and here's a press conference at the combine, and it wasn't Justin went back and checked it, and we just read it verbatim, the copy. We didn't play it back because now everything's out there immediately on Twitter. But back then in 2015, the Los Angeles Rams are trying to make a decision, right? Or was it St. Louis? Where were they at that point? Who knows? St. Louis Rams are trying to make a decision about Sam Bradford, the former number 1 overall pick, and up to the podium stepped a young, handsome, another guy that doesn't really like to dress up, by the way, Les Snead, who said, quote, "Deleting Sam Bradford is not the answer." But, Connor, as you pointed out last week, that actually was the answer for those Rams.
And deleting the guy after that, too.
And they cut ties with their former number 1 overall pick. And it did get me thinking about like how we want to begin our conversations about this time of the NFL calendar, which is when really things turn over to 2025 in these press conferences, and the media gets the first chance to really dig in at large with these coaches and GMs about their plans for 2025. But what if Les Snead kept it real way back then and said, deleting Sam Bradford is the answer? And then we cut through all the bullshit and we're just being real. And you don't have to hide behind anything. It's honest dialogue between NFL figure and the media, which then gets directly sent to the fans, and everybody's on the same page. Why can't life be that way? Right now, it's going to be that way. So we're going to take turns as various coaches and GMs type figures and keep it real. Speaking truth to power at the NFL Scouting Combine. And if you really want to visualize it, these are the opening remarks, the way these pressers work. It's in a big room at the convention center there at Indianapolis, and everybody gets like 15 minutes. Opening remarks followed by a little reporter Q&A, and then inevitably a PR flack will jump in and say, what, Justin?
Oh, well, one more question for Les.
And then you lose them, right? And then maybe there's a little side gangbang for beat reporters, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about right now.
Yeah, he's over in the right corner. It's New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, tell the truth.
Thank you, Justin. Justin's like, I'm going to keep you on your toes at all moments here. So here's Brian Daboll, and he gets up to the lectern. So here he goes. Note to media members, I am largely hungover. It's the kind of hangover where, full disclosure, I had my New York Giants maidservant Jackie Banquet order me 2 pots of coffee, poached eggs, candied bacon, sourdough toast, waffles, a fruit cup, a vat of apple juice, and 6 Thomas English muffins, fat side, thin side, nooks and crannies with the butter. I attempted to take this all down through my mouth while she nestled beside me in her bathrobe as we watched ridiculousness. This is the NFL Combine. I was out late, and you might think Daboll, who's slimmed down, is back on his old trail of tears, ripping through hamburger joints and smoking cigars in back rooms with Zsa Zsa Gabor's great-granddaughter. Incorrect, sir. I was out late with a Rams deep throat. We talked Matthew Stafford deep into the night. 11 p.m., steaks, mashed potatoes, honey, virgin olive oil, steins of beer. 12 a.m., large Russian vodkas. 1 a.m., whiskeys from red, white, and blue land. 2 a.m., mezcal, 5 count, seeing new worlds. 3 a.m., Jackie Banquet picks me up in her lush lavender Mercedes and takes me back to the NFL's hotel. That's me doing the dirty work. The GM is a family man. He's in bed by 8 p.m. with a Cobb salad and Downtown Abbey blaring on his team-issued iPad. I do the man's work deep into the night, on the streets. Matthew Stafford is very real to the G-men. If I don't get a quarterback, I can trust my ass is grass. I went to Rochester University in upstate New York. If you were born in upstate New York, you do the dirty work. You stay out late and nail the conversation. You don't sleep in your bed like Baba Black Sheep. I'll be with the New York Giants for 1,000 years because I've carved out a plan to bring Stafford here, and not for a first-round pick. And then we draft Travis Hunter. Then your ass is grass. I'll take questions now.
Wow. Again, we appreciate the honesty here. And I will say that That is true that these guys get ripped up in Indianapolis. They all do. I remember a shit-hammered Rex Ryan at that hamburger joint.
Steak
and Shake.
Steak and Shake. Prime 47 is the steakhouse where a lot of conversations are had, and absolutely Daboll strikes me as one of those guys that's closing out Prime 47 deep in conversation. That is... Remember John Elway, by the way? Elway would get more ripped up than anyone, and he would book the latest press conference. The last one would be like the 4 o'clock because he had seniority and he was John Elway. But even a 4 p.m. press conference a day after a night out in Indianapolis, Elway would still look like he just woke up. He's like, okay, these guys are in a different level. That would be the stupidest thing ever, by the way, if the Giants went after a 37-year-old quarterback.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know if
what
I
is
agree
the
with
point?
that.
What's the point? What's your goal?
More.
What's your goal?
Keep your job.
Win the division this year.
That's what it's about. You're just making decisions for your own personal well-being.
Well,
That's
this is not
how I want my organization run. He's being
Stafford
honest, I guess.
This is a great quarterback, though.
Yeah, but where does he fit in on the New York Giants right now when they have the Commanders and Eagles in their division? Like, why? This is exactly the point I was making last week with the New York teams. Like, you got to build smart. You got to why try to win 9 games?
Let me ask you one question.
Sustainably build yourself.
One question. If you're Daboll and you're hanging on by a thread at this point, right? After what's happened, you've lost your quarterback and running back that you drafted are gone. But if you got Stafford and didn't have to give up your number 1 pick, and you did get like a Travis Hunter, and you pair him with the Malik Neighbors, and you have Matthew Stafford, you have got something there.
Totally
you are
agree.
selling tickets, and you are winning games. That would be my argument.
Maybe. How certain are we that an old Matthew Stafford playing in the Northeast in cold, miserable conditions behind a shitty offensive line is even going to play well? Like, I totally disagree with this. I don't think he should be anywhere near the Giants.
So I'm going to defend Marc here. I think you get Andrew Thomas back, who was hurt all of last year. I think that some teams have shown that you can rebuild an offensive line, or at least fortify an offensive line in an offseason to some degree. But this idea, and I've heard from so many Giants fans about this. Well, now that the Eagles and the Commanders are awesome forever, the Commanders might not make the playoffs next year. The fact that this team had a good run in the postseason, think of all the things that had to happen for the Commanders. Missed field goals, the Giants not having a kicker twice, or the Hail Mary game against the Bears, which propelled them, and some of these veterans they're not going to have on the team for next year. And so I just think that we automatically put this team on an ascension track again. The Eagles are losing their offensive coordinator again, and they had a 10-win down season the last time that they lost their offensive coordinator. So I think, and the other team is coached by Brian Schottenheimer. So I think it's like let's go, get Matt Stafford and win 10 games and see what the hell happens.
And I like Daboll too.
I do too.
Yeah, sure. We like Daboll. He hasn't done really much since that first year, but I just think the path for these teams, it's much smarter to follow. Like build this thing up slowly. Like get somebody, a young quarterback, and then use that money that you would pay for a veteran quarterback as a bridge and use it on your offensive line and adding a playmaker with Malik Neighbors. But that's also, I guess, to your point, Marc, that's also not maybe how you keep your job because there's more risk to trying to develop a QB.
Don't you please the owner if you suddenly pair Matthew Stafford with a high draft pick and a star wide receiver? I mean, part of it is like they're in a bit of a weird situation. I think Daboll is on a hot seat. I don't think it's his fault, but I think he's on a hot seat. So like, are you a little more desperate to get someone proven? That's why I think it might. Where
does Kelly Stafford factor in on moving to the suburbs of New Jersey? That's the other part of this. Maybe high, maybe low.
She's welcome here. We're great. I think we're well. I don't know anything about. I'm not up on on her takes on things on life. So I'll have to go back and do kind of a pod deep dive. But I would say, here in the New Jersey suburbs, we've got all kinds of people.